I'll begin the news of this hour by telling you that the National Bureau of Statistics says vote buying increased by 5% in the 2023 general elections. Released on July 11th, the NBS report titled Corruption in Nigeria, Patterns and Trends, third survey on corruption as experienced by the population, said the elections recorded 22% of vote buying, which is 5% higher than the 2019 general elections, with 17%. The agency disclosed that 22% of Nigerian citizens reported that they were personally offered money in exchange of a vote before or during the 2023 general election, while 9% were offered another favor. It described vote buying as an act of offering money, goods, or other favors in exchange for a voter's vote in an election. Still on elections, Justice Peter Lifu of a federal high court in Abuja has stopped the Independent National Electoral Commission from releasing the voters' register to the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission to conduct the forthcoming local government elections in the state. Justice Lifu issued an order of interim injunction against INEC while delivering a ruling in a motion ex parte brought before him by the All Progressives Congress. The motion ex parte was filed on behalf of the All Progressives Congress by a team of senior lawyers. The judge also stopped the Rivers Electoral Commission and Rivers Attorney General from receiving from INEC or using part of the National Voters Register relating to Rivers State to conduct local government elections in the state. Away from that, the Central Bank of Nigeria has ordered all banks and financial institutions to transfer funds from dormant accounts to the Apex Bank. This applies to accounts that have been inactive for 10 years or more. The move aims to reunite dormant accounts or dormant funds with their rightful owners, standardize the management of such accounts, and establish a procedure for reclaiming warehoused funds. Eligible accounts include current account, savings and terms deposits, domiciliary accounts, and prepaid card accounts. Government-owned accounts, unclaimed salaries, and funds from uncleared financial instruments are also included. However, accounts under investigation, litigation, or encumbered by collateral or liens are exempt. And so to further discuss this, I am joined by Muktar Mohammed. He's a financial market analyst, and he joins me live via video chat. Muktar, I appreciate you for doing this with us. We're pressed for time, so let's get started. What was your initial reaction to the CBN's directive on dormant account? I mean, there's been rumors about this for a very long time. I think it circulates every year, but seeing this is quite interesting. But how do you think it will impact the financial market? But first, your reaction.
Just like you said, it's been around us for a while. It's not a new law. It came in 2015, but maybe every year keep coming, and maybe the bank has a way that they were able to sort it out without its implementation. But I think the present CBN management team is looking like they really want to implement the policies. I mean, it's not a new policy, like I said, and how its impact on the financial market. It depends. It could be very positive because some of these dormant account has just been there and then helping bank in terms of liquidity, and they don't earn any interest on them. But again, you don't earn any interest on a dormant account. But I like that the CBN have differentiated a lot of accounts that might not be affected, like liquidation, like they said, also, and also maybe estate accounts that the processes are still in. And the time frame, those accounts that will be affected is not 1 year or 2 years. An account that has been dormant for a year or two is an account that has been dormant for as from 10 years. So that definitely shows that there are issues behind this account for the account to be dormant for 10 years. And again, that means some of those accounts really do not have a BVN. And so they've really not been operational. They've really been dormant. So I think it's a good policy. Its impact in the financial sector all depends on which bank has a high high dormant account. But for now, we don't know. But if you look at it very well, what has really been happening before is that the first generation bank tend to be the ones with those high dormant accounts of people. Maybe they didn't have a will, the family is not able to trace the account, or they don't even know that there's an account there. So I think those are the ones that will be, maybe they will be affected more. But Nigerians always thought that what the CBN is trying to do is to get those money back into the system so that the government can borrow. So that is what everybody is saying. They have come again to use our money.
Yeah, Muktar, I'm really glad you're talking about, the directive and how it will affect the average Nigerian banking customer, because some persons might be watching and be asking themselves, what exactly is a dormant account, and what qualifies for a dormant account, and how can they remain active so that they cannot be affected by this policy? As you answer that question, I would, because you've answered a bit of that question, but more, I would like to speak on the potential drawbacks and even the benefits of this policy in the long term, in terms of how it will affect the overall stability of the Nigerian financial system.
Well, for the drawback, it has to do, like I said, if most banks have been using those accounts as to push their liquidity standard, that means their liquidity ratio will be down a little, depending on the amount in those banks. So that could be a drawback. But we won't know all that until we get the financial report. And so we don't know the percentage of these accounts in the bank, but I don't think they should be, they may not be up to a very large percentage to cost any financial destruction to the banks. That's what I personally fear, because ordinarily those dormant accounts have been there. Like I said, those are the ones that have been there for 10 years. Back to your question, for most Nigerians to make sure that their accounts are not dormant, you need to operate that account at least once in 6 months. Once there's no transaction on the account after 6 months, that account becomes dormant. And so whenever you go there, you may need to reactivate it again for you to be able to do any transaction on those accounts. So that is one. But in this case now, even if your account has been dormant for 6 years, for 5 years, for 8 years, for 9 years, it will not be affected. But from 10 years, it will be affected. Like, the positivity on it is that a lot of people might just have to get their account, reactivate some of these accounts, because some of these individuals might still be available, but maybe they've changed their address, they're not using their account again, maybe they have issues, maybe the Nigerians in diaspora, they've not come back, so they've not done their BVN, so they've not done any transaction on those accounts. I think the bank would definitely the bank will not just surrender those accounts like that. They will try to look at the addresses there and try to reach those people. But the CBN have also said that for those accounts to be revalidated, it still has to come through them. So when you see CBN saying things like that, that means there are a lot of issues behind the dormant account, that maybe the banks have been involved in one infringement or the others. Because ordinarily, I go into the bank, I present back because for you to reactivate your dormant account, you might have to bring your utility bill, that is where you currently stay, means of identification, and before those accounts will be reactivated. And those policies are still there. Like I said, it's not new. It's so that we should say.
And it makes you wonder about those that have accounts that have been lying there for, 20, 15 years, 40 years, and their case still lies in court when it comes to next of kin issues, and those that are in lieu of wills to pass on to their benefactors. But let's move away from that now and talk about, this as it pertains to financial institutions in Nigeria. For this to be implemented, what would then be an adjustment for this financial institution? What do you think they would be doing, or what would they need to do to comply with this new regulations and directive?
Well, they don't have an option. It's your regulator that's telling you to comply, so you just have to comply, because there's always a penalty if you don't comply. For the banks, the CBN also knows some of those accounts, because they are also the custodian of some of these accounts. So I don't think it will be a problem for the bank to comply. It's not a rocket science thing that they are. But like I said, some of the banks might just have to try one way or the other to reach out to most owners of those accounts if they can reach them. and see if you can reactivate that account and make it active. But that also depends on the level of transaction that has happened in those accounts. Before the advent of BVN, people just open account to do one transaction or the other. After that, they leave that account. And sometime again, this dormant account has also been used for criminal activities. You've heard where people passed on their account were used for movement of other people fund into those accounts through inside that dealing within the banking space. I think again, that also the positive about that is that it will help reduce such things that are happening in the banks. When some of these accounts will be reactivated inside the bank, then fund transferred to those accounts, then move for criminal purposes. And I think that also we reduce that or totally eliminate it. So there's the positivity there also for that for customers. For the bank, I think the positivity is that you may have to reach out for them, those that have those accounts, or also you may begin to look at your balance sheet and begin to re-strategize if most of your liquidity is driven by dormant account. But like I said, I don't think the percentage will be much of those accounts that are really dormant, that are really that will really affect the liquidity of the bank.
Right. All right. Well, Muktar, I appreciate you for doing this with us. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We'll move away from that now, this time to Nigeria's House of Representatives, as they have restated its commitment to ensuring that the nation's economy is repositioned on the path of sustainable growth and development through economic diversification. The chairman of the House Committee on Monitoring, Evaluation and Implementation of the House of Representatives Legislative Agenda made this known in the nation's capital, Abuja, saying that the parliament has made several interventions aimed at addressing Nigeria's dwindling economic fortunes. He says that lawmakers will continue to engage relevant stakeholders to ensure that citizens benefit from the nation's wealth and Nigeria becomes an economic hub on the continent.
With an enormous endowment of green, blue, and digital resources, Nigeria is potentially positioned to serve as the green, blue, and digital hubs of Africa. As you are aware, the National Assembly has, in pursuant to its constitutional mandate, made a number of interventions, both at plenary and committee levels, towards the resolution of our national economic challenges. While these interventions are indeed yielding positive results, the need for a strategic stakeholders' engagement, collaborations, and contributions in this regard cannot be overemphasized.
Global IT outage has caused chaos at airports worldwide, including Nigeria's Muktar Mohammed International Airport. Flights to the US, Europe, and other international destinations were delayed and cancelled. The glitch traced to a faulty software update affected Windows computers worldwide, disrupting businesses, banks, and healthcare services. At least 2,691 flights were cancelled globally, with airlines like United, Delta, Air France and KLM affected. Passengers were stranded and flights were rescheduled. The International Air Transport Association has urged travelers to check with airlines for updates. Government and industry leaders are working to mitigate the impact. Microsoft identified the cause as a configuration change in Azure back-end workloads affecting Microsoft 365 services. And now to share his first-hand experience, I'm joined by Ejike Okpa, Global Affairs Analyst, who joins me live all the way from Texas, USA. Well, Mr. Okpa, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you for doing this with us this morning, your time. So let's get started. Can you describe your experience when you learned that, your flight from the US to Nigeria has been cancelled due to the global IT outage?
Well, thank you for having me. So I got an alert, before I left for the airport, and then that my flight may be canceled. But that's like, one of those things that maybe when you get there, it's going to be changed. But my first taste of that was when I went to the bank to do some transactions, and the cashiers, the ATM told me, hey, you can't get more than a certain amount of money, and if you go to the ATM, you are limited to a certain amount of money. So I was like, well, okay, it's something that will be resolved soon. And then I got to the airport and they told me, well, because my flight was going to be Atlanta, Dallas, Atlanta, Lagos. And they told me, you can't get on the flight. If you get on the flight, we're not guaranteeing you your connection in Atlanta. And then they gave me an alternative, which is, I fly to Atlanta to London, and I won't get to Nigeria until Monday, which is the 22nd or something. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So I got back home. So, it is a global thing, and it gives us the vulnerability that because we're all networked, a little glitch somewhere can just throw off everything. Hotels, hospitals, everything that is computer driven, they all got shut down, and I don't know how soon this will be resolved.
It reminds me of the book Leave the World Behind, and just reflects on our interconnectedness and also how vulnerable we are in our reliance on basically on our potential vulnerabilities and our reliance on such tools, and that's technology in this day and age. And as you're reflecting on your experience as well, as someone who travels frequently, how do you think airlines and airports can improve their communication and support, especially when such disruptions like these happen?
Well, one of those things, just for a digression and fun part of it, I still use typewriter because nobody can hack my typewriter. What you see with our internet is, is after the fact. We try to do everything to prevent this sort of thing from happening. But, somebody can sit with their laptop at some point and do some things, and everybody's just shocked at the outcome. So the vulnerability is huge. While internet has made life easier, we're able to do certain things, but it also reminds us of the challenges that, the world can be shut down in a minute. And we say it, before now, we never experienced this, but now your telephone can be gone, everything that is driven by internet, can be shut down by somebody who is remote somewhere you don't even know. And the difficulty of this is they say it's in the cloud. Well, nobody lives in the cloud. It's just a software, software programming, and that software programming is sitting on somebody's laptop. So we're gonna keep improving. We're gonna keep improving on this because the what this has made me think about. We need to have redundancy so that when the mainframe goes down, we can rely on the redundancies. They're just like generators. When your power goes down, you want a standby generator to kick in a few seconds in order to keep going while you go back to look at the first one while it went down. So. I guess billions of dollars are lost in these few days, and we'll see what happens after.
Right. We're talking about you using a typewriter. Unfortunately, this is news out. I've said, can you pan for me to see the typewriter? But away from that, right? Finally, were you able to be rebooked for a new flight? Are you looking forward to arriving home back here with us in Nigeria?
Well, look, since I got back, so, Delta has been trying to rebook me, and I even went online. Can you imagine? I was on the phone for 9 hours and still could not speak to anybody.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know. I don't know when that's going to come back, and thank God it wasn't urgent stuff that I was coming home for. But it just, nearly put my schedule off because I have blocked the number of days I was going to be gone. Because when I get back, I was going to hop on another international trip, and everything's pushed off, and you don't even know. But it's not just Nigeria, US, it's a global thing. So we'll see.
Well, I want to say many thanks. We appreciate you for doing this and coming on, sir. And we do hope that this is resolved so that you can go on with those flights and the travel of yours. Many thanks, Ejike. We appreciate you for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me, and have a good day.
You too. We'll switch our gears now to state politics, and this time to Edo State, where the reinstatement of Philip Shuaibu as the Deputy Governor of Edo State by the Federal High Court in Abuja has continued to elicit reactions from political observers. The court held that his impeachment by the Edo State House of Assembly was illegal and hence declared it null and void. In this special report, our correspondent, Marvelous Obomanu, gave a blow-by-blow account of events that culminated to the impeachment of Philip Shuaibu and his reinstatement. Take a look.
The Edo State House of Assembly on Monday, April 8, 2024, impeached Philip Shuaibu following the adoption of the report of the 7-man investigative panel set up by the state chief judge to probe allegations of perjury and leaking of government secrets against the reinstated deputy governor. But if the allegations were discovered to be true, questions have been asked whether the State House of Assembly is empowered to try a case of perjury, or if that responsibility belongs to the courts.
It is only the court of law that can determine the offense of perjury. Only the court of law. The assembly or the legislature cannot determine whether an individual accused of perjury has actually committed perjury, because it's a criminal offense. So Philip Shuaibu enjoys immunity under Section 308. So if they have accused him of committing perjury, first, he couldn't have been prosecuted because he enjoyed immunity, and the House itself is not legally bound or legally empowered to prosecute criminal activities or criminal offenses against individuals. So on that count, it was bound to fail that couldn't have been enough solid legal and constitutional ground to impeach Philip Shuaibu.
In the wake of Shuaibu's impeachment, Governor Godwin Obaseki picked Omobayo Godwin as his deputy to complete Shuaibu's second tenure in office, which will end on November 11, 2024. Many believe that the relationship between Shuaibu and Obaseki actually broke down when Shuaibu declared his intention to run for governorship election in the state as successor to his principal, a move which the governor did not take too lightly.
The problem started when Philip Shuaibu was ambitious to become the next governor to succeed Governor Godwin Obaseki. That was the beginning of their political coil. So every other point you see is immaterial.
The impeachment of Philip Shuaibu, Deputy Governor of Edo State, was one of such acts of gross violation of the Constitution, because that impeachment has all the trappings of political intolerance, political intimidation, an act that was calculated to subject the young man to the whims and caprices of the emperors that have taken the state by its jugular.
There are some who think that Obaseki's refusal to support Shuaibu was because the governor had groomed a successor, a claim he has told many will balance the power rotation in the state.
If he is allowed to contest, it will bring some kind of division to the states, because some part of the senatorial district are already feeling that they are not part of the governance of Edo State, because they have not had fair sharing in the leadership of in leadership direction of the state. I'm talking about the #1 seat of the state. So that was what the governor tinkered, and he said that he won't allow that injustice to continue. That what he wants to do now is that he wants to empower the other senatorial district within Edo State to also have the opportunity of being the #1 citizen of the state and give direction in the next 4 years. That is what is happening.
Others think that what played out between Obaseki and Shuaibu was a political witch hunt.
Philip Shuaibu was a victim and has remained a victim of the political victimization of his boss, of the political manipulation of his boss, and of course of the political calculations to impose his surrogate on the people of Edo State as governor in the next election.
In all the political drama playing out in the state, the governorship election is just a few months away. Many will seek answers to questions now bordering on Shaibu's return. Has his name been cleared from all accusations? Will his reinstatement cause an upset in Edo politics? And also, will Edo residents be the winners in all of these?
What happens to him is that he's trying to bail himself out of that disgrace. It is not about the salary. It is not about the 4 months. He might not even go to that office once, for the remaining 4 months. But the issue now is that he needs to get back his dignity.
The greatest joy and justice will come to him and Edo people by the time those who hold the political suzerainty of government house and government instruments, the apparatchik of government that they are using in Edo State to subjugate the commoners and political opponents. When they fail in September election, then the greatest happiness for the greatest number of Edo people, including Philip Shaibu, would have been achieved, and justice, of course, would have been achieved for Edo people.
Although the Edo State government says it will appeal the judgment of the Federal High Court, residents in the state will be more concerned about who will be their next governor in the coming months. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Obomman.
News Central is set to collaborate with the Edo State government to enhance content creativity and personnel in state-owned broadcast establishments. Managing Director of News Central, Kayode Akintemi, disclosed this during a courtesy visit to Governor Godwin Obaseki at the Government House in Benin City. News Central's Austin Azu completes the report.
Managing Director of News Central, Kayode Akintemi, was in Edo State for the 79th General Assembly of the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria. The event brought together broadcast media CEOs and managing directors to address challenges and develop policies to guide the organizations. The managing director later visited the Government House in Benin for a courtesy meeting with Governor Godwin Obaseki. During that discussion, they explored various strategies to enhance the broadcasting industry in Nigeria, focusing on content, creativity, and personnel development.
But I guess what people don't see is, or are those things, those reforms, which we have undertaken with human capacity, with a systems overhaul and a systems change. But in time and with time, we're going to let you into some of the things we've done so that you can assist us in communicating the reforms and the progress that we have achieved in Edo during my tenure.
Structure. It shows that when people say that technocrats are better at government because they look at things from outside the box, not from the political paradigm. So we say thank you very much for the work you've done. We're really happy to see it, and we're looking forward to a lot more in the coming days and months, even before you exit from this. So this courtesy call has been worth my while. Thank you so much.
The MD was also guided on a tour by the Governor's Special Assistant on Media, who showed him around the TV studio and radio facilities at the Government House exclusively for the governor. Subsequently, the essay took Mr. Akintemi to the state-owned broadcast establishments in Benin, where they received a guided tour of the facilities from the station's managing director.
The conversation is around collaboration, because in all my years in broadcasting, I've been one of the strongest advocates of collaboration across the continent of Africa. There's no one TV station that can say that, oh, we have all the resources we need, we don't need any partners. Absolutely nonsense if anybody says that. So I believe that there's room for collaboration. News Central will always be eager to collaborate with states, partners, with federal government establishments, with international news television stations.
News Central is committed to collaborating with all stakeholders to enhance the value of its brand. In Edo, for News Central, Austin Azu.
And now on to health matters. The Plateau government has confirmed that there is no cholera outbreak in the state. Now, this assurance was given by the state epidemiologist Dr. Maren Job in an interview exclusive with News Central's Chizoba Aniowe in Jos, the state capital. She emphasized that vaccination of children under the age of 5 is highly effective in preventing and controlling the spread of cholera. Here's her report.
Cholera, a highly dangerous bacterial disease, has been reported in 31 states of the Federation. However, Plateau State has not recorded any cases of this disease since 2021. Rapid diagnostic tests conducted throughout the state confirm that Plateau remains free of cholera.
There is no cholera recorded in Plateau State. Yes, we had 2 suspected cases. But, we have what we call the rapid diagnostic test kits that we use. So we screened those 2 people and they were negative for cholera. So usually you do the rapid test first. If it's positive, then you take sample, for confirmation. So the RDT is negative, so we don't have any recorded case.
Open defecation and a lack of potable water are major contributors to cholera. Dr. Maren emphasizes that if people consistently practice frequent hand washing and thoroughly clean fruits and vegetables before consumption, there could be a significant reduction in the spread of cholera.
What predisposes people to cholera outbreak is lack of potable drinking water, open defecation. At the beginning of the rainfall, once open defecation is being practiced, the water will wash all the feces into the open or surface water. And some people use that surface water for drinking and for also cooking.
With 1,528 suspected cases, including 65 confirmed and 53 deaths across 31 states in Nigeria, it has become crucial to embrace the age-old wisdom that prevention is better than cure.
We should avoid open defecation. What that means is that everybody should have at least toilet facilities around so that we avoid open defecation. Number 2, if we don't have potable drinking water, we should always boil our water for at least 10 minutes. The next thing you can do is let's also embark the habit of hand washing.
Passage of watery stool, vomiting, nausea, and dehydration are major symptoms of the illness. However, seeking prompt medical attention at a nearby health facility can be life-saving. Despite the effectiveness and efficiency of vaccines and immunizations, it is crucial for public officials to ensure that these resources are readily available to citizens. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Aniowe.
And the news continues in North Africa. Now, still on elections, but now to, of course, the North Africa, where Tunisia's President Kais Saied, who grabbed wide-ranging powers 2 years after his 2019 election, has announced that he will be seeking a new 5-year term in an election set for October. Speaking in the southern region of Tatouning, the 66-year-old said he was answering the country's sacred call, which left him no choice but to run for a second term. Several would-be challengers to the president, who had announced their presidency, are either in prison or being persecuted. In his announcement Friday, Saied called on everyone preparing to sponsor candidates to stare off any corruption.
ومن برج الخضراء أعلن رسميا ترشحي للانتخابات الرئاسية ليوم 6 من أكتوبر القادم إن شاء الله تعالى لمواصلة مسيرة النضال في معركة التحرير الوطنية.
We'll move now to the unrest in Ukraine, where a former Ukrainian nationalist MP has died after being shot on the street in the western city of Lviv. Irina Faron caused controversy in 2023 by suggesting that true patriots of Ukraine should not speak Russian under any circumstances. The 60-year-old linguistics professor killing on Friday is being investigated, and police say it may have been a targeted attack. Her attacker has not been identified, and police say a power outage affected CCTV in the area. The regional governor of that area, said Faron's died in hospital after the shooting. Meanwhile, the interior minister said this was not a spontaneous killing, and police were looking for a motive. Dozens of Palestinians have been killed in a wave of Israeli attacks on the Nazareth refugee camp and other locations in Gaza throughout Friday evening and into Saturday morning. Many woke up on Saturday morning to start cleaning the rubble following the deadly strike in the central Gaza Strip. Countries across the world have reacted to the International Court of Justice, ICJ, ruling that Israel's occupation of Palestinian land is in violation of international law and must end. And in business, Angola's central bank kept its main interest rate at 19.5% on Friday, citing a potential slowdown in inflation and an improvement in the supply of essential goods in the near term, so to speak. Now, the Bank of Angola had raised its main rate by 50% or 50 basis points at its last monetary policy meeting in May, after hiking it by 100 basis points in March as it's tried to rein in rising inflation, which has topped 30%. Last month, the annual inflation rate rose to 31.00% from 30.16% in May, but the pace of increase was slower than in previous months. The central bank's next monetary policy decision will be in September. And in the world of sports, Rodolfo Zapata, an Argentinian coach, has expressed interest in the vacant Super Eagles coaching role. Now, this comes on the backdrop of the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, currently seeking a foreign technical advisor to lead the team following a dismal performance in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers, which resulted in Finidi George's resignation as coach after just 2 matches. Finidi George assumed the role of a coach in April, succeeding Portuguese coach Jose Paseiro, who left after leading the team to the final of the 2023 AFCON in Ivory Coast. However, the former Ajax winger left the job in the wake of the 1-1 draw against South Africa and the 2-1 defeat against Benin Republic in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. With the Ibrahim Musa Gassal led NFF administration keen on engaging the best qualified hands that will turn around the fortunes of the national team. Rodolfo has placed himself forward, believing he is the right person to think the Super Eagles in their bid to qualify for the 2026 games. Ezekiel Nathaniel delivered a stunning performance at the Holloway Pro Classic in Florida, clinching victory in the men's 400-meter hurdles with a commanding time of 48.21 seconds. The Nigerian athlete led the race from start to finish, showcasing his exceptional skill and speed on the track. Nathaniel's closest competitor, Chris Robinson, crossed the finish line in second place with a time of 48.96 seconds, nearly 3/4 of a second behind the winner. And now to football with French League One club. Lyon is considering 2 loan options for Nigerian forward Gift Orban. The 22-year-old who joined Lyon from Gent for about 14 million euros during the last winter transfer window has struggled to find his footing and has quickly lost confidence, with Alexander and Lacazette staying at the Lyon this season, along with the confirmed signing of Mama Bardel, and the arrival of Georges Mitaktanze. Playing opportunities for Orban have become scarce. Journalist Olivier Salmon reported that Lyon's management is looking to offload Orban on loan or even permanently, while minimizing financial loss. 2 potential loan destinations are on the table for Orban. One option is Botafogo in Brazil, a move that might not be as attractive to European and African footballers under 30. Well, we do hope and we wish him all the best. But that's all we can take at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Nigerians groan as foreign airlines cancel, delay flights. Court stops INEC from releasing voters' register from Rivers local government election. And Tunisian president announces plan to run for another term. Yet another African president who wants to go for another term. But remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith, Atibi. Good afternoon.